Right now, more than 154,000 people have been forced from their homes in northwestern Morocco. A dam built to protect them is holding nearly 1 billion cubic meters of water, far beyond what it was ever designed to contain. 85% of an entire city has been emptied, and the rain has not stopped. Mohammed El Hachimi, a resident of Ksar El Kebir, describes what drove families from their homes in a single word: the dam. The fear now is from the dam, he says, and the rain is still pouring heavily. Sunday, February 1st, 2026. Families at home, children not in school. A normal weekend morning in a city of 120,000 people. Then the order comes. Evacuate immediately. 13 neighborhoods by name. Within 10 days, 154,000 people will be displaced across 4 provinces. One shelter alone will take in 15,700. Here is how this unfolded. Monday, January 26th, 2026, 11:43 in the morning. Moroccan media relay a weather alert from the National Meteorology Directorate. Heavy rain and strong winds expected starting Tuesday. Rainfall totals could reach 80 millimeters. Orange vigilance. At this point, it is a forecast, nothing more. Families in Ksar El Kebir read it on their phones and keep moving. By Wednesday, the 28th, the water arrives. The Loukkos is rising. The dam upstream is filling faster than anyone projected. But in the city, life continues. Markets are open. Children are in school. The river is high, but it is still in its banks. Thursday, January 29th, 11 o'clock in the morning. A red alert window opens and will not close until 6 in the evening on Friday. Forecasters project 90 to 120 millimeters of intense rainfall across multiple provinces. That is not a storm. That is a full month of water arriving in 31 hours. By Friday, the streets of Ksar El Kebir are canals. Residents wading through brown water that was not there 2 days ago. Roads at the south and west entrances to the city go underwater. People who went to work the morning cannot get home by the same route. Shops that opened at dawn close by midday. The water is no longer a forecast. It is in the living room. Rain hammering corrugated rooftops without pause. The low, continuous roar of dam releases from upstream that residents hear before they see the water level change. River silt pooling in homes that have never flooded before. And underneath all of it, a single fact that every resident understands. The dam upstream is still filling, still releasing, still holding far more than it was ever built to contain. Sunday, February 1st. The order comes. Local authorities call for the immediate evacuation of 13 neighborhoods across Ksar El Kebir. They name them High Al-Andalus, High Al-Diwan, the Old Quarters, Al-Doha, every low-lying zone in the city. This is not a suggestion. This is leave now. Mohammed El Hachimi, a resident of Ksar El Kebir, evacuates to stay with family. He is one of the fortunate ones. He has somewhere to go, but what he sees as he leaves is a city emptying in real time. Almost everyone left, he says. Not almost everyone on his street, almost everyone in the city. And his fear is not the water already in the streets. It is the water still behind the dam. The fear now is from the dam, he says, and the rain is still pouring heavily. Now track the numbers. By Thursday morning, February 5th, the Interior Ministry confirms 143,164 people evacuated across 4 provinces. By Friday morning, Le Matin reports the updated tally. Approximately 154,000. Reuters independently confirms more than 143,000. Up to 85% of Ksar El Kebir is empty. Think about that for a second. A city where 120,000 people lived, worked, sent their children to school. Within 1 week, 85% gone. That is not an evacuation. That is an entire population disappearing from a map. And what they left behind tells the story the numbers cannot. Doors shut mid-routine. Markets closed with goods still on shelves. Streets empty except for water. The city did not burn. It did not collapse. It simply stopped because every person in it was told to go. Residents without family elsewhere went to shelters. Those with relatives drove to Tangier, Rabat, Meknes, anywhere the water had not reached. Now let us look at exactly what this water has done, because the damage extends far beyond one city. As of February 1st, Morocco reports 19 road segments closed due to rain and flood impacts across the north. The Cebu River's rise forces partial closures across an entire basin. Train service is halted. Maritime traffic between Morocco and Spain is disrupted by storm conditions. This is not a local flood. This is a country's transportation network breaking apart piece by piece. At the center of it all sits the Wed al-Makazin Dam, the structure designed to control the Loukkos River and protect Ksar El Kebir. It was built to hold 672.8 million cubic meters. By February 4th, it is holding approximately 988 million. That is roughly 146% of its designed capacity. Al Jazeera reports it reaching 156% using official data. AP says it exceeded capacity by approximately 46% and forced major releases. Put that in perspective. The dam is holding nearly 1 billion cubic meters of water. That is approximately 400,000 Olympic swimming pools behind a single wall of concrete and earth. And authorities have already discharged more than 372 million cubic meters downstream. Every drop flowing directly through the city they were trying to protect. But the damage is not only water. In Beni Zid, witness videos show damaged homes and landslides. Bulldozers are clearing roads to restore access to communities that have been cut off for days. I'm in Tétouan and Chefchaouen. The Martil River system triggers additional evacuations. More than 500 families moved to reception centers. Heavy rain along secondary rivers collapses homes in areas that were never part of the original flood zone. The crisis is spreading into places no one planned for. And then there is the economic wound. Morocco is a major exporter of fruits, vegetables, and phosphates to Europe. The flooding has hit the northwestern agricultural heartland. Crops including avocados, potatoes, and olives are damaged. Port operations and export shipments are disrupted. The president of the Moroccan Association of Soft Fruit Producers estimates at least 10% damage to soft fruit greenhouses. And the workforce from Ksar El Kebir that normally supports those farms is not available because they have been evacuated. This event has now officially surpassed the 1996 and 2018 records. It is the most severe flood in the Loukkos Basin in over 30 years. Combined with the Safi flash floods in December 2025, which killed 37 people in Morocco's deadliest weather disaster in a decade, Morocco is living through its worst flood season in modern memory. Here is what the response looks like when a country mobilizes everything it has. The Interior Ministry frames the evacuations as preventive, phased, and dignified transfers. The reality behind that language is one of the largest emergency operations Morocco has conducted in decades. The Royal Armed Forces deploy intervention units with heavy equipment, coordinating with the Interior Ministry and local authorities to evacuate, transport, and shelter families across 4 provinces. Protection Civile launches light boats into flooded neighborhoods to reach residents who cannot walk out. In the worst-hit areas, helicopters support rescue operations from above. Schools and universities close. The army moves in. This is not flood management. This is a national emergency running at full capacity. On the ground in Ksar El Kebir, 2 figures stay publicly visible while the city empties around them. Mohamed Simo, parliamentarian and president of the commune, issues alerts and instructions at the train station as residents flee. Zineb Simo, also a parliamentarian, relays awareness videos urging families to move to higher ground immediately. These are not distant officials reading statements from a ministry. These are named people standing in the crisis zone, telling their neighbors to run. Now look at where 154,000 people went. In Tangier, the National Summer Camp Center in the Diplomatic Forest opens its doors. Approximately 400 people are sheltered in a facility designed for holidays, not emergencies. At the entrance to Larache, a temporary city rises from nothing. 2,400 tents installed in rows. Near Kenitra, the Sidi Alal Bahrawi camp shelters about 100 families. In Ksar El Kebir itself, officials convert schools, youth centers, and cultural spaces into reception sites overnight. And then there's the number that captures the true scale. One large shelter center receives at least 15,700 displaced people, approximately 3,000 families. Many are farmers and livestock breeders from the rural areas surrounding the city. Some arrive with their surviving animals. Picture that for a moment. Families who grab their children, their papers, and their goats and walk to a shelter because everything else was underwater. World Central Kitchen deploys teams to Morocco and begins working with local partners to feed displaced families. Humanitarian camps near Larache are still being constructed. A tent site designed for up to 3,000 tents connected to water, electricity, and sanitation. The response is massive, but the need is still growing. The numbers tell you the scale, but they do not tell you what it feels like to be one of the 154,000. Here is what that looks like from inside. Mohammed El Hachimi is a resident of Ksar El Kebir. This is his city. He knows its streets, its markets, its rhythms. When the evacuation order comes, he leaves to stay with family. He is among the fortunate ones. He has a door to knock on. But what he witnesses as he goes is not an orderly departure. It is a city dissolving. Almost everyone left, he says. Not his block, not his neighborhood, the city. A place where 120,000 people woke up that morning is 85% empty within days. And the fear he carries with him is not about the water already in the streets. It is about the water that has not been released yet. The fear now is from the dam, he says, and the rain is still pouring heavily. He is safe with family, but his home sits in a flood zone downstream of a structure holding nearly 1 billion cubic meters of water, and no one has told him when he can go back. El Hachimi had relatives, many did not. Those without family connections were directed to authority-run shelters, schools converted overnight into emergency housing, youth centers with foam mats on gymnasium floors. Imagine arriving at your child's school with a bag of clothes, not as a parent at morning drop-off, but as a displaced person looking for a corner to sleep in. That is the reality for thousands of families across 4 provinces. Among the 15,700 people in the megashelter, many are farmers and livestock breeders from the rural communities surrounding Ksar El Kebir. These are not city residents with insurance policies and second addresses. These are families whose entire livelihood sits underwater. Their land, their harvest, their animals. Some brought surviving livestock to the shelter. They carried goats through floodwater because those animals are their economy. Without them, there is no recovery. Without them, there is nothing to go back to. At the entrance to Larache, 2,400 tents form a temporary city. Families who a week ago had kitchens and bedrooms now have canvas. Children who attended school now sit in rows in a field. The tents are connected to water, electricity, and sanitation. This is not a neglected crisis, but the distance between a tent and a home is not measured in infrastructure. It is measured in routine, in privacy, in the feeling that your life still belongs to you, and no official has given a timeline for return. Schools in the affected provinces are closed. The dam remains over capacity. The rain continues. For residents like El Hachimi, the crisis is not the flood that already happened. It is the silence where an answer should be. When can I go home? Will my home still be there? Will this happen again next year? One fact must be stated clearly. Despite the extraordinary scale of this disaster, 0 deaths have been confirmed from this flood event. The evacuations led by the Royal Armed Forces with helicopters, vehicles, boats, and buses have so far prevented any reported fatalities. That is a significant achievement. But it is not a resolution. The crisis is not over, and the next storm system is already forming over the Atlantic. So how did a country that spent 7 years desperate for rain end up drowning in it? The answer starts with the ground itself. For 7 consecutive years, Morocco suffered one of the worst droughts in its modern history. Reservoirs emptied. The country invested in desalination plants. And across northern Morocco, the soil baked season after season until it was hard and compacted, essentially unable to absorb water. Then, in September 2025, the rains came. At first it was a relief. The government officially declared the drought over, but the rain did not stop. Scientists call what happened next hydrological whiplash. When rain falls on drought-hardened ground, the ground behaves like concrete. Water does not soak in. It runs straight off the surface into streams, into rivers, into reservoirs at extreme speed. Morocco recorded 150 millimeters of rainfall over the last 6 months, exceeding the annual average by 32.5%. The National Meteorology Directorate called conditions exceptional. In 1 week alone, rainfall exceeded annual averages by 159%. That is not a storm. That is an entire year of water arriving in 7 days. And the dam was never built for this. The Oued Al Makazin Dam was designed to hold 672.8 million cubic meters. It reached nearly 988 million. Controlled releases were necessary to prevent catastrophic failure, but every cubic meter released flows directly through Ksar El Kebir. The infrastructure built to protect the city became the mechanism delivering water into its streets. And the crisis did not arrive as a single event. Northern Morocco has been hit by successive Atlantic storm systems. Each one drops more water onto ground that cannot absorb it, and reservoirs that have no remaining buffer. 2024 was Morocco's hottest year on record. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture. The same warming that drove the drought is now driving the floods. Tonight, in a camp at the entrance to Larache, families are sleeping in tents that did not exist 2 weeks ago. In Tangier, 400 people are sheltering in a summer camp center built for holidays, not emergencies. In Ksar El Kebir, 13 neighborhoods sit empty. Markets closed, shops shuttered. A city that held 120,000 people is 85% abandoned. Mohammed El Hachimi is with family. He's safe. But his home sits in a flood zone downstream of a dam still holding nearly 1 billion cubic meters of water. The rain has not stopped, and no one has told him when he can go back. 154,000 evacuated, 15,700 in a single shelter, 2,400 tents at Larache, 0 confirmed deaths. That last number is real and significant, and it is the result of helicopters and boats and soldiers and buses moving faster than the water. But it is also fragile. Because the next storm system is already forming over the Atlantic, no one has given a timeline for return. No official has stood before the families in those tents and said you can go home on this date. The dam is still over capacity. The ground is still saturated. The rivers are still high, and every forecast carries the same warning: more rain. If you are in the affected provinces, follow instructions from local authorities, the General Directorate of Meteorology, and the Interior Ministry. Do not attempt to return to evacuated areas until officials confirm it is safe. Avoid flooded roads under all circumstances. Evacuation centers remain open in Larache, Sidi Kassem, Tétouan, and surrounding areas. Stay safe